Welcome, County Sentinel. This is November 29th, 2018. I'm your host, Tim Shirer, publisher, founder, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel. 21 years now, been a lot of years, covering all kinds of sports, world events, and many different things over the years. There's a lot of things to discuss. How we're going to work it every night is we're going to discuss sports for the first half hour of the podcast, and then we will discuss politics for the second half hour of the podcast. Yes, I have certain teams that I like and certain sports that I like more than others. I, like anyone else, I have my own opinions on politics. But what that means is hopefully we'll have guests that may have a different opinion than I have, and we can have real conversations about sports. People who feel differently than me about the sports teams in Cleveland. And I say right off the bat, I love Cleveland. I'm from Wickliffe. I live in Wickliffe. I love Wickliffe. I'm a Wickliffe Blue Devil through and through. I always will be. There may be things sometimes that don't go the way I want them to, but that's how it is. But I will always love Wickliffe, and I will always love Cleveland and Cleveland sports teams. A lot of people think I don't like the Cleveland Browns. I do like the Cleveland Browns. But, let's just be clear here. My favorite NFL team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I root against the Cleveland Browns every week, except when they play the Buccaneers. And then I root for the Buccaneers. But there's room to root for two NFL teams in your heart if you truly love sports. And so I love Ohio State, but sometimes you're conflicted. And that's part of sports, I think. Sports is about debate. How would you do it? How would you do it better? So I think, tonight we're going to start right off with the elephant in the room. Ty Lue was fired yesterday by the Cavaliers. Larry Drew took over as coach. Larry Drew has coaching experience, and a pretty good record, actually. Led the Hawks to 3 straight playoffs, went to Milwaukee, and was fired in a horrible debacle when they brought in Jason Kidd. It was just horrible how it happened. Larry Drew did not get a fair deal there. He became a Cavs assistant coach, and he's been a very good assistant coach. I think the Cavaliers' defense is good because of Larry Drew. It's one of the reasons they will be better now, I think. They're in very capable hands under Larry Drew. I didn't think that Ty Lue should have been fired. I thought he should have had a more of a chance. I don't think he had a fair chance. But hopefully, things will improve for the Cavs. The 0-6 start has been rough. It's been rough to watch. There's no doubt about it. It's been rough to watch. I've watched pretty much all of every game so far, as I think I should. If I'm going to report on sports, I should watch sports. That only makes sense. I thought that they were going to be better than this. I thought the start would be better. 0-6 is not promising. I had said that I thought they could win 45 games this year. Yeah, I'm wrong. Okay, I'll admit that now. Maybe 30 at the most. But I guess there's no shame in the NBA to have a rough start and to be a bad team, because you get people in the draft then. And that's what the Cavs need at this point. They need to draft a couple more players. I got to replace LeBron James. How do you replace LeBron James? Replacing LeBron James is very tough, but hopefully they'll be able to replace him. I don't think they'll ever completely replace him, but hopefully they'll be able to. And I guess there's some really good players in this upcoming draft. And at the small forward position especially, and hopefully, that's what I think. Jetty Osman is going to be a really good player. For me, I think he's very positive. Larry Nance Jr. I was over the moon when they got Larry Nance Jr. because, I remember watching Larry Nance play, and if his son is half the player he was, Cavs are in good shape. Okay, because Larry Nance was unbelievable. And Larry Nance Jr. hasn't given me any reason to think he can't be that good in his time with the Cavs. And I think even more now when he's going to get a lot of minutes now that Kevin Love is injured. So he's going to get even more minutes. I think that's going to give Tristan Thompson more playing time also, which is a good thing. Tristan Thompson needs to play. You cannot not have Tristan Thompson play and then expect him to come in and play well. Okay, you have to give these guys minutes. I think J.R. Smith is J.R. Smith. Some nights he looks like he's the greatest shooter that ever lived, and other nights he's not sure how much time's left on the clock. But we can't, let's not hold that against J.R. One thing I believe is J.R.'s heart is always in the right place. And I think he's a guy we want on this team. I think J.R. Smith is a lot of what Cleveland stands for. He gives everything he has, and he really takes it personal. So, and that's what Clevelanders do. Isn't it true? I mean, that's what we do. We take everything personal. We care a lot. We work hard. That's what we do in Cleveland. And, when we have players on our sports teams that do that, then, we can root for those people. And I think J.R. Smith is one of them. So we're going to have to see what the Cavs do. I think that this is going to be an interesting season. LeBron's gone. It's not going to be that way anymore. It's going to be this way now, and rebuilding. And we're going to see if maybe how this works. It's not going to be a quick fix. I wouldn't think the Cavs are going to make the finals in the next couple of years, but hopefully they'll build something. And, eventually they'll get back there. And hopefully by that time, Golden State will no longer be, the team that has all the good players. I mean, it's ridiculous what the NBA has allowed Golden State to do. I think that something has to be done, but who knows what. I guess you can't stop teams from signing players. So I guess we'll move on now. We're going to move on, to the Browns. Hue Jackson, the end finally came for him today. We reported it yesterday. I reported it yesterday that there was going to be somebody was going to get fired today. I said it. I wrote an article last night. I believe we posted it at 5:03 last night. Excuse me. We posted at 5:03 last night, and I had been told by people within the organization that coaches were going to get fired either late last night or early this morning, and that's what happened. We weren't sure who, but I felt like Todd Haley was going to be one, no matter what. I mean, I wasn't sure about Hue. I didn't know that Hue Jackson would get fired, but I felt like Todd Haley was a bad hire. Okay. Todd Haley, he's had problems anywhere he's been. He's not gotten along with people at every stop. Todd Haley didn't get along with people, everywhere he's been. So I think the fact that he's gone now makes the organization better. And Hue Jackson, I mean, what can you say? I mean, 336-1. I always wanted to give the guy a chance, but I think he had a chance, and he just couldn't. He couldn't get the job done. And I think you have too much talent now on the roster to continue to lose like they're losing. Baker Mayfield. Hey, I was a critic when they drafted him. Not of his height. I thought that was ridiculous. Come on, that's so stupid. That's such a dumb thing to judge a guy on is his height. Drew Brees is pretty good, and he's the same height as Baker Mayfield. So if you're going to give me that garbage argument about height, well then, that's good, because you're wrong. You're going to be wrong every time. Height obviously doesn't matter at the quarterback position because Drew Brees is short and he gets the job done. I'm thinking pretty well. You see other quarterbacks that are taller. Kirk Cousins isn't a midget, but I saw him getting passes batted down during last night's game quite a bit, and I guess it's happened all year. But Baker Mayfield, I was wrong about him. I wasn't sure that he was going to work hard. He's proven me wrong. He is not Johnny Manziel. He's nothing close to Johnny Manziel. He performs on the field, and he seems to put the work in. Seems to be a really good teammate that the other teammates like, and that's a really good thing. He's willing to learn. He takes responsibility for his mistakes, something that Johnny Manziel never took responsibility for his mistakes. And I think that that's the difference between Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield, is that Baker Mayfield takes responsibility for his mistakes. So now we move on from Hue Jackson with Greg Williams as the interim head coach. And Greg Williams is Greg Williams. I would have to think practices will not be easy with Greg Williams. They will not. Greg Williams is he's hardcore. And I think that if anything, the penalties will decrease now. And I think that the penalties were a problem, under Hue Jackson. I had said that. I had said in preseason that the penalties were a problem. People didn't want to listen to me. I said the penalties are a problem. And you're having penalties in preseason. You're going to have the same penalties in the regular season. You're just going to. They're not just magically going to disappear because the preseason's over. That's ridiculous. That is thinking that is ridiculous. I think that they will improve now because I really believe that Greg Williams will crack down. And he's going to tell guys, hey, if you're going to make penalties, then you're going to sit. We'll put somebody else in there that's not going to make a penalty. It's not going to make stupid mistakes that is going to cost us a nice long kick return or a nice punt return, or we have a 40-yard pass play, and, well, it's coming back because the same guy held for the third consecutive play. I mean, that's a killer. That kills teams. We know it kills teams. The Browns had 12 penalties against Tampa Bay, and that killed them. I think that killed them. That killed them more than, the one penalty that wasn't called, the helmet to Baker Mayfield, which obviously was a penalty, but that wasn't the deciding factor in the game. The deciding factor in the game was probably the 12 penalties. And when you have 12 penalties, you aren't going to win an NFL game. You should win an NFL game when you get 4 turnovers, though. When you get 4 turnovers and you don't win an NFL game, then something's wrong. And I think that, excuse me, cough. Anybody that knows me knows I have a cough. But I think the penalties will get better and decrease under Greg Williams, because Greg Williams is, if anything, he's a tough guy who will crack down on that stuff. I don't know what else will change. I don't know if the play calling, people complain about the play calling, but there's only so much you can do when you have a limited amount of receivers and you have an offensive line that is not really good. They struggle on the edges, and I guess yesterday they were without their starting center, which is not good. When you're without your starting center, you're going to struggle. But I guess now we won't be hearing fire Hue Jackson all the time because now it's happened. I have no idea who they're going to bring in as head coach. Only John Dorsey knows that. Hopefully John Dorsey gets to pick the head coach and Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam stay out of it. I mean, come on. Let the guy who knows football pick the coach. Okay, they have proven they don't really know what they're doing. Okay, they've owned the team for quite a while now, and the team has been terrible. Worse in their tenure as owners than when the Lerners owned them. How is that even possible? But it's true. They've been worse under the Haslams than they were under Lerner. Think about that for a second. So let's let John Dorsey pick the head coach. And we'll see what he does. Hopefully he picks the right guy. It's a crapshoot. Because I think some guys, they interview well and they seem like they're going to be good, and then they're just not good. But hopefully he picks the right guy, and I think the Browns are going in the right direction. Obviously, they got a lot of talent in the draft. John Dorsey traded for a lot of players. It was good. They're much better than they were at this time last year, and hopefully, it'd be nice. They'll last 8 games. If they could go 3-5, 4-4, which might be a little too much to hope for, that would be nice. A nice way to end the season. With 6 wins. 6 wins would be good after going 0-16 last year. That's quite an improvement. So we'll see what happens. Now we're going to go to we're going to talk about the newest team in the area. We have the Mentor Icebreakers. They're in the Franklin Hockey League, and they play in Mentor. And I believe there's 6 teams in the league. The Icebreakers are 0-1. They opened last Saturday. I was very disappointed that I wasn't able to attend the opener. They lost 4-1, and they went to the Watertown Wolves. They'll be in action again on Friday in Danville, Illinois. They'll be playing the Danville Dashers. The Dashers are 2-0. So, they play 2 games in a row. They'll play Saturday, and then they'll play Sunday again in Danville. And let's say I think it's kind of a neat thing to have a hockey team right here in Lake County, in Mentor. They have a nice facility out there, the Mentor Ice Rink. I believe they had 1,200 fans at the first game. That's a really good crowd for the inaugural game of a independent hockey team. I think that they had to be pretty happy with that crowd. I would think they had to be happy with it. There's a couple people that I know from Wycliffe that are involved with the team, which is always a good thing. I think whenever you have Wycliffe people involved, it's a positive thing because, well, they're Wycliffe people. So that the Icebreakers are. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes, and see how hockey is received in Lake County. I think it'd be really great if it was a successful thing, because Lake County has proven with the captains that they can support sports. So now let's move on to the Cleveland Monsters, who are 6-3-1. Their next game will be on Friday at the Q against the Toronto Marlies. That's a team I think they've had trouble with in the past. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on minor league hockey. So, but hopefully we will have an expert on at some point on our broadcast. I'm hoping that we can get somebody who's very familiar with minor league hockey to come on. It would be a great thing to be able to have someone who really knows about it and can talk about it with us. So the photographer for the Lake County Sentinel, Philip Goff, he works for the Monsters in a locker room capacity. I believe he's an assistant, and hopefully we can have Philip on at some point to discuss the Monsters. His grandfather, the late Phil Simon, was a legend in Cleveland hockey, and Philip is moving on with the family tradition and working for the Monsters now, and it was only a natural fit that he would work there eventually, and it's a great thing. And I'm very glad that he takes pictures for the Sentinel too. He does an amazing job. So hopefully we can have Philip on at some point. Let's move on to the Indians. Well, the Indians are in the off season right now, obviously with the World Series ending yesterday, and we won't mention who won because, we won't mention them. So, but the Indians, they went out quick in the postseason, much quicker than I think most of us thought they would go out. And they have some questions. I think the bullpen is the biggest question to me. If they can fix the bullpen, then they will be in much better shape. I mean, I think that was huge. The bullpen struggled big time. And hopefully in the future, they'll fix that. I have every confidence in the Indians front office that they can fix the bullpen. And, I don't think it's as bad as people want to make it out to be. I think they still have probably 3 really good pitchers out there, but they need to add probably 3 or 4. And I don't think Andrew Miller comes back. I don't think Cody Allen comes back. Excuse me. I think the other free agents, I would like to see them re-sign Michael Brantley. I mean, if you can't re-sign Michael Brantley, then who can you sign? This guy has done everything for the organization. He's, made an amazing comeback from injury, and I think that he needs to be their number one priority, and then go out and get 2 or 3 guys for the bullpen. But I don't see Lonnie Chisenhall coming back. I wouldn't expect Rajay Davis to come back. I'd love for him to sign Josh Donaldson and put him in at third base. I think the price is going to be too high. Somehow maybe they could pull off a miracle and sign him. That would be awesome. But I don't see that happening. And then Josh Tomlin, as much as I like Josh, I don't see him coming back. I think that if he comes back, it's on a minor league deal, and he's going to have to make the team out of spring training. And if he makes the team out of spring training, he's not going to be able to, have any bad periods like he had this year. He's going to have to pitch well all year. And I just don't know if he has it in him, even though I'm a huge fan of Josh Tomlin. I think that we may have seen him pitch his last game for the Indians, but only time will tell. What we do know is the Indians still have the best manager in baseball. So Alex Cora won a World Series with the Red Sox. Good for Alex. And AJ Hinch, who thinks he's the reincarnation of Abner Doubleday, which he isn't. I think it was proven in the postseason. I think Alex Cora outmanaged him. And Terry Francona is still the best manager in baseball. As much as I dislike his attitude, sometimes being a know-it-all, I think Joe Madden is probably second, but Francona is still the top of the list. And if people don't think that, well, something's wrong with them. Do I disagree with Francona at times? Yes, I do. I think he played Jason Kipnis too long. I think he stayed with him too long this year. Hopefully they resolve that issue too. I honestly don't think there's room on this roster for Jason Kipnis. I don't think It was just slumps. I think he's past his prime. I know there's a lot of people out there that really like Jason Kipnis, but sometimes you just have to say he's done. Carlos Baerga was that guy for me. I really like Carlos Baerga. Anybody who knows me knows I really liked him. He was my favorite Indian in the 90s. And when they traded him, I was very angry. But as time went on, I understood it was a good move because he was finished. And I just feel like it's the same situation with Kipnis. I think it's amazing how he gives the shoes and bats away at the end of the year. That is such a nice thing. It's a great thing. There's nobody that says Jason Kipnis isn't a great guy. He's a great guy. He interacts well with the fans. Such a good guy. He treats the fans really well. He understands that fan interaction matters. But I think Jason Kipnis also understands that it's a business and sometimes you have to move on. And I just think that's what the Indians are going to have to do. They're going to have to move on from Jason Kipnis this offseason. They've got some guys in the minor leagues. I mean, look, Bradley Zimmer missed almost the whole year. Naquin missed a lot of the time hurt. I don't think their outfield situation is nearly as bad as people think. Would it be nice if they signed an outfielder besides Brantley, bringing Brantley back? If they signed another outfielder, that would be really good. Yes, it would. So I don't think that the outfield is bad. And you got Ramirez at second base. You put Yandy Diaz at third base. Gonzalez is your utility guy. I think you're good. I feel like, in my opinion, Alonso will eventually be the odd man out during the season next year. I could see him maybe getting traded at the deadline next year and Bobby Bradley taking his spot, because I think Bobby Bradley is ready. It's time for Bobby Bradley in Cleveland at first base. So I think, that the starting rotation we know is in great shape. I still think it's the best starting rotation in baseball. If Bauer hadn't got hurt, he would have been a contender for the Cy Young. Kluber was, as usual. Carrasco's really good. I don't think Carrasco's as good as he can be yet either. Clevenger too. He still can be better, and he was really good this year. So and then we got Shane Bieber, who's pretty good too. So the starting rotation is good. I don't think the Indians are in bad shape. Remember, the division is not good, and it's not going to be good for a while because you have to get better. These teams have to get better, and they're not even close. Chicago might be close. They bring some guys up next year. They might be close, but remember, they're still going to be a very young team. So I think the Indians' experience will trump that. The Twins, I don't know. They got rid of Paul Molitor, which I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. But I think the Indians are still in good shape. So I think that that's pretty much what I have on sports at this point. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to politics. We're going to talk about politics and some of the things that have been happening in the world. And we got elections coming up in 8 days. And we're going to discuss that a little bit. We're going to talk about the events that have happened the last 7 days and how politics influenced those events, and political rhetoric, how it influenced those events. So that's what we'll talk about next and for the next half hour. But before we start talking about politics, it's definitely politics. What I want to talk about here is we had done podcasts last year, but we stopped in September. And the reason we stopped in September was because of a tweet that I tweeted out in September. And it was a harsh tweet about a Donald Trump supporter, a MAGA supporter, and she didn't like it very much, and a lot of MAGA supporters didn't like it very much. Well, I have news for them. I have right to my opinion, just like they have a right to their opinion. But the one thing they don't have the right to do, which they did, was they made threats to me. They made threats to me, and they threatened my family. One particular email I received said that I cannot wait to see you leave a sporting event one night so I can bash your head in. That's what one of the threats I got. And another threat wished for my son to be killed. That's where I draw the line. You can say what you want about me, but you better not threaten my family. But these people think that they can do whatever they want. They think they can do whatever they want because the guy they voted for thinks he can do whatever he wants and says whatever he wants. And nobody criticizes him that voted for him. They just keep thinking that he's great, that he's doing great things. Well, he's not doing great things. He's dividing our country. And he's making us look horrible in the world. Horrible. You know, he gets these people all worked up. And let's face it, 99% of the people you get worked up know how to handle the anger. They know how to handle it. But you have that 1% that doesn't know how to handle the anger. Okay? And they do crazy things. They do crazy things. Never before in our history have we had a president who spews the rhetoric that Donald Trump spews. Okay? This guy says horrible and hateful things. Never before do I remember a president calling for his opponent, who he beat in the election, to be locked up. He incites chants at his rallies, lock her up. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. I think you all heard it. You know, that isn't right. That's what a dictator does. Dictators do that. Dictators lock their opponents up. Dictators eliminate their opponents by jailing them. That's what he's doing. Or he's trying to silence the media. He tries to silence the media because he doesn't like what they're saying. You know, the fake media. No, it's not the fake media. What it is, it's the media that's telling the truth that you don't like. Donald Trump doesn't like the media, and his supporters don't like the media because they tell the truth. The media tells the truth. Okay? Donald Trump supporters don't like the truth. They like their delusional vision of the truth, which is we're going to lie at every step, and we're going to keep the power we've gained no matter what. No matter who we have to hurt, no matter who we have to lie about. You know, let the pizza shop. The pizza shop lied during the campaign that Hillary Clinton was running the mob out of a pizza shop. There are actual Trump supporters that actually believe this. They actually believe that Hillary Clinton was running the mafia out of a pizza shop. I mean, really? That's unbelievable. That adults would fall for that. Or how about this one? How about this? How about during the campaign in 2016, the job report was a lie. When the job reports would come out during the months running up to the election in 2016, whenever they would come out, Donald Trump would say they were fake. Those job reports are fake. Now, the same people who put those job reports out during the campaign, he praises the job numbers from those reports. Talks about how great the job numbers are now. That's called a hypocrite. That's a hypocrite. But his supporters fall for it every time. I'd like one of them to, somebody tweet me. Somebody tweet at me. Somebody email me. Somebody email me and say, please, email me and ask me a question. Tell me why. Tell me why it's okay to say the job report is fake in the run-up to the election, but then use those same numbers from that same office and say they are great and real after the election. Tell me why that is not a blatant lie. Blatant lies. That's what we've had during this whole administration, is blatant lies that come out of that White House. I watched the press conference today. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Oh my gosh. She might be a really nice woman. I've never met her. But watching her press conferences, it's like watching a train wreck. Or it's one lie after another during her press conferences. Of course, she can't say that she's had a lot of press conferences where she's lied at, because, the daily White House press briefing has become the monthly in the Trump administration because they don't want to have press briefings, because I think they know every time they have a press briefing, there's 10 or 15 lies at minimum. Like today, I don't know if you call it, it's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie. When she said the majority of Americans, 63 million, voted for Donald Trump. Well, it wasn't quite 63, it was 62 and a half. But that wasn't the majority. The majority voted for Hillary Clinton. But because of the Electoral College, which has been there forever and should remain in place, I don't have a problem with it. But the majority voted for Hillary Clinton. Almost 66 million people voted for Hillary Clinton. The last time I checked, 66 was higher than 63. It's a higher number. I don't know if they're using fuzzy math in the White House now, but let me tell you, no, I shouldn't use the term fuzzy math. I shouldn't use that because that's an insult to George H.W. Bush. I don't want to compare anything with George H.W. Bush and Donald Trump because George H.W. Bush is a man of class. I never ever want to compare one of the Bushes to Donald Trump because the Bushes are so much classier than Donald Trump. I don't think he knows what the word means, but their math is unbelievable, though. To actually say that 63 was the majority when Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes. She lost because of the Electoral College. He did not have a majority, okay? She had the majority. So what that means is 3 million more people that voted thought she should be president. A smaller number, 3 million less, thought that Donald Trump should be president. And because of demographics, she won. Or he won. I'm sorry. He won. She lost. That's how it is. She lost. And I've dealt with it. But what gets me is that when they say there's a majority, no, there isn't a majority. The majority of the United States does not support Donald Trump. Stop saying it. You make yourself look like even more liars than you already are. You've spewed even more lies to support your lies already. Okay? That's just how it is. Numbers are numbers. Facts are facts. I mean, it seems like prior to 2016, facts mattered. Now, it seems like we live in a world where facts don't matter. Seems like they don't matter. We live in a world where we're going to just make stuff up. And we're going to tell you that that's the fact, when even though we know it isn't the fact. You know, it's a fake news story just because we don't like it. Okay? Just because we don't like it, we're going to say it's a fake news story. Or you know, we're going to make stuff up, saying we have the largest inauguration numbers ever. And that was an absolute lie. Anyone who's watched the inauguration in the past knows that there weren't as many empty seats ever at an inauguration, a parade especially, as there were this year. If you watch it, you saw it. You know, you saw it. You know, you saw that there were a lot of empty seats. But he said it was the largest ever. And then she came, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and, you know, the media people for the White House came out and said that, oh, no, it's true. It was the largest ever. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, I understand that the job of press secretary in the White House is probably one of the hardest jobs. But do you not have any morals in that job? I mean, sometimes I feel like Sarah Sanders has no morals because she just seems to have no problem most of the time going out there and spewing lies. Like today, they took absolutely no responsibility for the violence that happened in the United States this week. No responsibility that the rhetoric he spews, Trump spews at his campaign-style rallies, he doesn't understand that that might incite violence to somebody who's crazy. He doesn't understand that. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that saying things about CNN, the media members, his opponents, might make the crazy guy go over the edge and do something stupid, illegal, or violent. He doesn't seem to understand that. His supporters don't seem to understand that. I don't know how many excuses I saw over the weekend on social media from his supporters. People that I know that I thought were free-thinking, smart, common-sense people. And they're justifying what he has done. The one I love the most is one of the things I love the most is when Trump supporters, you'll point out racism. You'll point out something racist that he says. And then they call you a race baiter. Yeah, I'm a race baiter because I pointed out their racism. How am I a race baiter? Because I pointed out that you said something racist. I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. Just because I'm pointing out that you're hateful and you said hateful things, I'm a race baiter? How about you admit that you're supporting a racist president? He's a racist president. You can find the video. You can find it because I'll never forget it. I believe it was during the 2012 campaign before he dropped out that he said, I have a great relationship with the blacks. Are you kidding me? Who says that? Who says that? Donald Trump says it. And his supporters say, hey, he's great. Or what president says, I'm a nationalist? And then that Sunday or that Saturday, boom, look what happens. I don't think these things are coincidence, okay? I don't think they are. This guy has done and said some of the worst things in the history of the presidency. I want him to finish his term, but I wish he would tone it down. But I guess when you have people like Kellyanne Conway speaking for the White House, things probably won't get better. Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president, former campaign manager, making things up as they go along. You remember? You remember what she made up? Remember when she made up the Bowling Green massacre? Something that never existed? Yes, she made that up. It can't be denied. She made it up to prove a point. She made up a lie to prove a point. That's what they do. They make stuff up. They don't need facts. This is a guy who calls the media the true enemy of the people. The media. That's what he says. The media is the true enemy of the people. No, they're not. I'm sorry, they're not. The media is the media is the group that keeps people like Donald Trump in check. Or tries. I mean, the way things have happened now, you can't even, you can't even criticize him because he ignores any criticism, calls it fake, calls it a lie. In the past, a president would respond to the media and he would explain himself. He understood the media's role, past presidents. Did they always like what the media said? Absolutely not. No. I'm sure there were times where Barack Obama didn't like what the media said. I'm sure there were times, definitely, when George Bush didn't like what the media said. Both George Bushes. Ronald Reagan probably didn't like what the media said at times. Sure, Jimmy Carter didn't. But you know what? They never attacked the media like this president attacks the media. It's wrong. You just can't do that. Not in a democracy. We live in a democracy. Okay? That's what we live in. Okay? Where the media has a role to make sure our leaders are honest and our leaders are not doing things that they shouldn't do. That's the media's role. The media is there to protect our democracy. Freedom of speech. Okay? First Amendment. Freedom of speech. Freedom of the press. Trump's people love the Second Amendment. Oh, don't you take the Second Amendment away from us. Whoa, please don't take the Second Amendment. No, you better not take the Second Amendment. We're going to be standing here with our guns. That's what they say. You're not going to take our guns. You're not going to take the Second Amendment away from us. But boy, they don't care about the First Amendment, do they? That's what I've noticed about this group. They seem to only care to protect the Constitution when it's something that they like, something that they believe in. Let's protect an unborn child. Abortion. That's their, they feel that they have the right to make the rules for a woman's right to choose. But they have no problem sending that kid they saved to war and getting him killed in a war. Because the first thing they always want is war. They love sending our kids to war. It's the truth. You can't deny this. You can't deny that we have had more troops killed in Republican administrations in the last 50 years than we have had killed during Democratic administrations. There's no doubt about it. We have. Another one that I always love. I love this, that they say we're not going to be as safe if the Democrats get elected. Oh, if you elect the Democrats, you will not be as safe. Well, let me think about this. Worst terror attack ever on American soil was when a Republican was president. I thought we were going to be safe. We weren't. We got attacked. Okay? We got attacked. I mean, I'm not putting the blame on George Bush. But if you're going to tell us we're safer, if you're going to have Darth Vader, Dick Cheney telling us that we're safer because he's the vice president, then we damn well better be safer. But we weren't. Don't forget that, people. When you go to the voting booth on November 6th, remember, the worst terror attack in American history happened under a Republican president. Okay? It did. It's not a lie, it's the truth. And the worst mass murder on a religious organization happened Saturday with a Republican president. Okay? A Republican president, not a Democratic president. Republicans have control in Washington right now. Okay? They do. They have control of the Congress. They have control of the White House. We're not safer. Obviously, we're not safer. You got to tell those people in Pittsburgh and their families they're safer? They're not. You got to tell them that? You got to go to their funeral and tell them, oh, we're safer. I don't think they're going to agree with you because we're not safer. So stop falling for the fear tactics of the Republican Party telling us we're not going to be as safe if Democrats get elected, because that is a blatant lie. And another blatant lie is that the economy gets better when Republicans are in charge. That's another blatant lie. Black Monday, Wall Street, Ronald Reagan was president. I'll never forget that day. Ronald Reagan, Republican, was president. All right? He was. You can't deny that, Republicans. You might be able to try, but you can't deny it. And he was president for quite a while when that happened, too. It wasn't like he inherited the Jimmy Carter mess, and that was the cause. No, he was president for quite a while when that happened. All right? The economy tanked under George H.W. Bush. Clinton got it back on track. Not a lie, the absolute truth. And then, what happened when George W. Bush was president? The economy collapsed again because big business controlled everything and did whatever they wanted, no regulation, and they almost destroyed our economy. Almost destroyed our economy. So don't ever tell me that we're better off when Republicans are in charge, defense-wise and economics-wise, because we're not. Look what's happening in the stock market lately. It's going back down. It's going back down. It had a big spike, but it's going back down. And I'm going to sit here, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm going to sit here and predict that percentage-wise, the stock market will have risen more under Barack Obama than it will at the end of Donald Trump's 4 years. Because that's what he's going to have. He's going to have 4 years. Anybody that thinks he's going to have 8 years is insane. I'll say it right here tonight. There's no way that guy gets reelected in 2020. I think his own party is not going to give him the nomination. That's what I think. There's no way that guy gets 8 years. So you watch, at the end of 4 years, percentage-wise, the stock market will have increased more under Barack Obama than it will under Donald Trump. And mark my words, when you do your taxes in April, you're not going to be real happy with the new tax laws. You're going to find out that that money you thought you were getting back isn't really there. The money you were getting in your paycheck is not going to equal the amount you're not going to be able to deduct anymore because he took all deductions away. You're going to end up paying more taxes. Mark my words, people. You can look back and listen to this broadcast then, and you're going to find out that I'm right. We'll be back on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Maybe we'll have a guest or two. I hope so. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just talk. Remember to tweet me. LCSentinelCom at Twitter. I'll talk to you tomorrow night. I hope everybody has a good night. See you tomorrow.